I'm Dr. Cersei. I am director of the writing program and also a teacher of the writing courses and humanities courses. And welcome to our first installment of our crash courses section. Okay, so the rule of semicolons, super simple. All right, watch me. So you've got two sentences that could stand alone, right? A thing that could stand alone is a sentence. A thing that could stand alone is a sentence. Okay, and they're side by side. You can join them a couple of different ways, yes? You could join, I mean, they could have a period, yes? They could have like a comma and or a comma but or something like that, right? Or they can have a semicolon, right? So a semicolon connects two complete sentences. If you can't use a period, then you can't use a semicolon. That's the rule. If you can't use a period, then you can't use a semicolon. So if you're writing a paragraph, we're hoping all the sentences relate to each other somehow, right? Because they're in a paragraph together. Yeah, in theory, right? But some sentences have a more intimate relationship with each other, right? More intimate. They need to be a little closer. So think of it sort of like they're literally kind of holding hands sort of thing, right? Okay, so that's a semicolon, right? You can hold hands if you like to, I know, yeah. See, they would be connected by a semicolon right there. Okay, all right. That's it. Now there is one other way to use a semicolon in lists. If it's a really complicated list that's got a bunch of commas in it already, comes up super rarely, don't even worry about it. Okay? That's semicolon. All right, colon. When you use a colon, what's the purpose of a colon? That's the two dots. Yeah, what comes after a colon is often a list, doesn't have to be, right? But it does replace the phrase, you've said something, blip, 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 blip. Now I'm going to get more specific about what I just said. Literally, the colon can be replaced with that whispered phrase. Okay? So what has to come before a colon is the tricky part. What comes before a colon has to be able to stand alone as a sentence. So what about this? All right. Now, I'm going to jump to commas for a second. You use commas in lists, yes? That part I don't even typically even have to review. You know you got to put a comma there. This one, right, that's your optional comma. We wish that you would use it all the time. But technically it's optional. All right? Okay, now, what can we do with a colon? What has to come before a colon? What did I just say? That's right. So can I do this? No, because you can't just stop there and be a sentence, right? So we could do this. Now I'm going to get more specific about what those things are. Bam, 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 right? Or, and I'll talk about this comma in a second. That. So oftentimes a colon is reducing wordiness because you can use a colon and get rid of two words. Okay. Told you about commas and lists. So on this little document here, flip it over so that you're looking at you'll see comma law 1, comma law 2, comma law 3. Okay, those aren't real things. Like I just kind of made up comma law 1, 2, and 3 as little umbrellas for a bazillion comma rules, right? Like there are a lot of comma rules. And the purpose of this is to give you like a single sheet that's replacing a handbook, basically, right? A grammar handbook. So I'm not listing out every single law for commas. I'm not explaining the details and all the parts of the sentence and all that kind of stuff. It's just helpful ways to think about your punctuation. Comma law 1 involves introductory stuff. Stuff that comes first in the sentence. There are little examples on your sheet, of course, there too, but. Give me a sentence about embry-riddle. Okay, what's the subject of the sentence? And if you, for your answer, the subject is the thing doing the doing in the sentence. What's doing the doing? Yes. Here's your subject, right? So comma law 1 is everything leading up to the subject, the introductory stuff leading up to the subject. So where does the comma go? Right there. And that's comma law 1. Got it? Questions? You can also have it stacked up. It's not a good sentence, but in Florida, at embry-riddle, right? So you can stack them up. All right, that's comma law 1. Comma law 2, which is what we're doing now, involves fanboys. And you think of what do fanboys do? They join halves of sentences, yes? That's why you shouldn't start sentences with fanboys, which I know is not what this is about, but I'm mentioning it anyway. Connects things within a sentence. So comma law 2 is about that, the two halves, connecting two halves, fanboys. Here's the rule. if both sides of the fanboys, look at me, if yes, both sides can stand alone, then yes, you should put a comma before the fanboys. If one of those sides can't stand alone, then you should not put a comma before the fanboys. So it's affirmative, affirmative, negative, negative. Got it? Okay, so, and you'll notice, by the way, how much of this relies on you recognizing a complete sentence, which I can't give a lesson on today, but that's the key part. Embry-riddle is a good school. Could that stand as a sentence by itself? Yes. It's expensive. Could that stand as a sentence by itself? Yes. And some of you may say no because you're like, you don't know what it is. But it is a pronoun, right? Standing in for a noun. So it's a vague sentence, but the structure of it is still complete because it's got that placeholder for the noun. Make sense? Yeah? Hello? Yes? Okay. So both sides could stand as a sentence. So what do we do? Yes, you do. And that's comma law too. Okay? That's it. Last one, and we're done with the instruction part. Like, this is how fast. This is crash course, right? Okay. Comma law 3, you should think of as threads. I call them threads that you can put into a sentence. And look at me. They're threads like you could yank them and lift out what's in there. Like threads you can yank and just lift that part out. And the core part of the sentence would still be intact. Okay, so we're going to structure that sentence we just had a little bit differently, right? Embry-riddle, watch me, which is a good school. No, what did I say? Embry-riddle, which is expensive. I have not had coffee. Which is expensive, is a good school. So technically, what's the actual core part of the sentence? Which means this could be lifted out. Big hint, of course, with me inserting it with an arrow. And so you would do this. Threads all the way around, whatever can be lifted out. Cool? Now, all these words, these transition words, like however, furthermore, wow, I can't write up here. Thus, could be phrases, in fact, of course, right? You gotta, there's some of those that, by the way, they're listed at the front, at the top. See where it says subordinating conjunctions? Yes? Okay. Okay. I'm sorry, transition words, phrases. I'm getting sleepy. Transitions, words, phrases. These are the words you can use at beginning and end of sentences, right? So wherever they appear, if it's in the middle of the sentence, commas go on both sides. Embry-riddle, however, or at the beginning, furthermore, or at the end, da-da-da-da, in fact, they just all get separated off with commas. Got it? So look at that last thing. I know that sounds weird, but my helpful tip is to catch grammar errors of all types, but particularly punctuation and fragments. Read your papers sentence by sentence, not word by word backwards, or you're in gibberish. Sentence by sentence backwards. It forces you to not get wrapped up in content like, look at this awesome stuff I'm saying, right? And forces you to look at that architecture, right, of the sentence as a structure. All right, so that's my lesson.